Could Brandin Podziemski, who has the fourth most minutes on the Warriors team this season, be in Steve Kerr's doghouse? Seriously? Maybe. We'll talk about it.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network out there. Very much appreciated. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Right now is a great time to get in with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. It's a great way to attend sporting events around the Bay Area and beyond. My name's Charlie Walter. Cover this show, cover the Warriors, cover the league. Do it all for this channel, Locked On Warriors and the Locked On Podcast Network. You can check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your audio podcasts. Itinerary today. Let's get to it. First of all, it's me solo. We're going to fly through this thing. I don't want to spend a ton of time on one particular topic because there's a lot to get into. I truly believe. We'll spend the bulk of today's show on Pods being in the doghouse. Yes, I said it. For those of you that thought this day would never come and have been praying for this day to come, first of all, shame on you. One team, one dream. But it does appear he's in the doghouse. Will Richard's impact, we'll get into that. Offense being the issue per Steve Kerr, not the defense as much. Houston Rockets up next. No Kevin Durant, but we're going to break down that game. And then if we have some time, we'll go over East and check out what's going on in the Eastern Conference. Two things I want to get into. Detroit doing some miraculous things. Miami doing some really good things too. We'll touch up on that if we fly through this thing. But let's start with Brandin Podziemski. Spend a little time on him. As Matthew McConaughey would say, chasing ghosts. It truly felt like that one possession specifically, and I'd have to go back and grind the tape to see if it was every single Keontae George 3. But Steve Kerr made it clear that the scout was, hey, they had this two-man game. It's Keontae George and it's Lauri Markkanen. Let's shut them down. That's our scout. And what happens right away, you saw a pick and pop with Markkanen, but more so you saw 4 of 4 from Keontae George to start. And again, I can't blame them all on Podziemski. I just remember the last one, the glaring one, the one that led to the timeout and one of the most pissed off versions of Steve Kerr we've seen this season. He was irate, and rightfully so. Pods was out there just looking around. It had nothing to do with hustle. It was truly focus. It was 1000% focus oriented, lost focus, had no idea where he was, had no idea where anyone else was. I mean, he may as well have been a ballerina out there spinning around, looking at his target. I don't think that's what ballerinas do, but that's what Pods was doing, looking for his target. And it ended up being Keontae George nailing a 3, heckling the bench, and the Jazz going up by 11. Podziemski leaves the game. Does not play the entire second quarter because not because he got his schnoz knocked for once, because Steve Kerr said so. He said, get your ass on the bench and stay there. Watch this. Throws in Will Richard, and what do the Warriors do? They go on a 21-0 run with Brandin Podziemski sitting on the bench. Plus minus wise, he's been pretty good. Minutes wise, they've been pretty high. Winning wise, when he's in the mainstay lineups over the past 50 games, the Warriors are usually at their best. This season, it's been a little goofy. It's been a little clunky. And Steve Kerr even used the words energy and connectivity. And those are words he always uses with Brandin Podziemski, it feels like. But it feels a little wonky at times with Podziemski thus far. Like he doesn't necessarily know where he's going on the floor. Picks his dribble up too soon, doesn't have that burst to get past someone or that finishing move, that strength. That he's no Giannis, you know? It was always craft with him. It was always smarts. It was always being in the right spots. And now it does feel like sometimes it's not being in the best spots. And again, I still think he gives you good minutes off the bench and he's going to be in the rotation. But 18 minutes from Podziemski, not much compared to what he typically plays. And not only that, Pat Spencer played well in his minutes. Will Richard played well in his minutes. Steve Kerr said that they were really moving it. The energy felt right when they were in there. And you start to wonder, with how much Steve Kerr has loved Podziemski this past year, would he consider flipping minutes up to the point where Pods is no longer getting 35 minutes, 18, 20? That's more of the regular, and you give other guys a look. Like, and that's not a banishment forever. Pod's still extremely young. If he was in college, he'd be a fifth-year COVID senior probably right now. And Pat could be coming for his job if he continues to play well. Despite what Kolsky says on this show, he's not on it. I could say whatever I want. And Pat Spencer played well, man. He had just 3 points in his 13 minutes, but he was a plus 12. He moves it. And he just he gets the ball into better players' hands to do better things than he would do. Pod sometimes keeps the ball in his own hands and slows down the offense a little bit. I'm still a Pods guy. Stock, you're not buying it. For those of you out there that want to buy my Pod stock, no, we're holding on to it right now, but it's a solid hold. We're not buying more by any means. We are not buying more right now. Some other things I want to get into, and leave in the comments if you think that Brandin Podziemski could be, his job could be potentially being fought for right now with a couple of guys, because that was a statement sitting on the bench the entire second quarter that Kerr's not going to tolerate those types of mistakes. Not an effort mistake, just a lack of focus. And whether it's Kuminga, whether it's Podziemski, whether it's whoever on this team, except for Steph Curry and Draymond Green, obviously, that they have years of rapport built in. Anyone else, they make mistakes like that. And this truly is a meritocracy, whatever you say about his love for Podziemski. And he clearly loves him as a player, but we will wonder if that continues or if it's back to normal come Wednesday. Final answer, Regis. Wednesday against the Houston Rockets. Warriors injury updates. Let's get into those real quick. Al Horford's out all week. Draymond Green is questionable. Missed the game. Both of those two missed the game on Monday. And Draymond is questionable for the game on Wednesday. Steve Kerr said there's a good chance he plays. Now, Jonathan Kuminga, he's the one we all want to know about. It sounded like he was very close to coming back over the weekend for the game on Monday, as he was involved in that training camp, running, and then it didn't go as according to plan. This time, however, he's playing 5-on-5, it sounds like tomorrow, or today, rather. Felt a lot better, so the hope is that he would be ready to go on Saturday. I think I'm looking at an old quote, honestly. But anyways, case in point, Jonathan Kuminga is not back yet. And it's just been kind of back and forth. Like originally, Steve Kerr said that he had no clarity. He didn't really know what was going on and told reporters to ask Kuminga. So the reporters asked Kuminga, and originally he said there's no comment, which is a weird thing to say when someone says, how's your knee feeling? When do you think you're going to be good to go? No comment. But since then, Anthony Slater has updated it and said that he's going to be working here and could be on the floor soon. Kuminga's words, he's itching to get back, it sounds like. But the whole thing just feels murky. There may be nothing here more than some knee tendonitis, despite x-rays saying he's good to go. But, hey, no speculation on this program. We just report the facts, and the facts say that Jonathan Kuminga has been out with knee tendonitis. It could potentially be back soon. And I will throw in that he's eligible to be traded on January 15th. Whether that happens or not, we will have to see. Still ahead on the show, let's get into the offense being the issue per Steve Kerr, not the defense. Talk about some of the things that the Warriors did well offensively on Monday night in their win, plus the Houston Rockets coming up. And we're going to go over East, talk about the Eastern Conference that is straight ahead on the program.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. It's your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you by DripDrop. Let me tell you a little bit about DripDrop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. Truly everything. My focus, my energy, my mood, even my skin, even my speech. That's why I've been using DripDrop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Why it's not your average sports drink. It's got 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of your leading brands. So forget about Logan Paul's drink, whatever. It's DripDrop, science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I like it as a part of my daily routine. They got good flavors. My go-to, I mean, I'm always a basic orange guy. That's what I like to go with. So hydration has always been non-negotiable, and it's DripDrop that will make it part of your routine. Right now, DripDrop's offering podcast listeners of mine 20% off your first order. DripDrop.com, code LockedOnNBA. LockedOnNBA is the code. DripDrop.com, 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard, and keep your body and mind performing at their best with DripDrop. All right, let's get back to the show.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
All right, so it's the Warriors and it is the Rockets on Wednesday. And some of the things that Steve Kerr really liked about the offense on Monday in the win was the spacing, particularly the way the ball moved. And he thinks the offense is going to be the X factor moving forward. The talk was on the defense and the rebounding in the loss to Portland. And Steve Kerr said it after that game. It's getting magnified right now, but the offense is what's going to be this team's kryptonite. And in fact, the more pressure that you put on the defense, the worse they're going to play. But when we need these guys to step up, we have the personnel, we think, to be a good defensive team. We've had a pretty good start to the season. D'Anthony Melton's a good defender. He's going to be back at some point. So he wants good spacing on offense and is prioritizing that right now. And he said something that I thought was interesting. We always say the ball has energy, and the basketball gods reward those that make things happen, those that cut, those that stick out their hands, those that get down in a defensive stance rather than standing up, just things that you're taught as like a first grader that you hate. You know, don't look down at the ball, you know, put the spoon over the eye. What else are we doing? Alley cat drills with our hands behind our back. Slide your feet, slide your feet. All these different things, incorporating your arms, your wingspan, that sometimes you just don't use because it's a long game. You're tired, and sometimes you could be lazy and want to take the easy way out. But when you take the hard way out and make things happen, this is exactly what Steve Kerr said. You earn the right for things to go your way. And he said that's what they did in the win on Monday. Thought they were flying around, connecting the game, both offense and defense. And that was a big reason why they were able to win. One of the things I found interesting, not interesting, funny, I guess is the right word. A reporter asked Steve Kerr at today's media availability, Tuesday's media availability, or I guess it was after the game on Monday. And they asked Steve Kerr about Houston's size and said, hey, Houston's huge. Utah's huge. You were just able to handle Utah on the glass. How do you think that's able to translate and get this under, you know, this win under your belt and this experience before you go into Houston? And Steve Kerr was like, well, respectfully, Utah sucks and Houston's massive and a force. He didn't say that. You know, he said it the coaching correct way, which is Houston's really good. Houston's really good. He just put it like that, basically. But they are massive and they are a force. But they are going to be missing Kevin Durant, who is a huge part of this team. And this is an opportunity to get Houston on a night where they're not going to be at full strength. Whether you have Kuminga, Al Horford, you're not going to have Al Horford. But, you know, Draymond, some of these things still up in the air. But assuming you have Steph and Jimmy out there, this is an opportunity to steal a win against a team that you otherwise would think would have the 1.2 point favorite in the early line out of Vegas, but no Kevin Durant. that doesn't affect their size. It does because Kevin Durant's huge, but let's get real. He's a perimeter player, and you sometimes forget that he's legit, 6'11", 7 feet out there. But they're still huge. They got the Şengün and Steven Adams lineup. And Steven Adams, what a role he has just carved out in the NBA. I remember him being able to score a little bit at Pittsburgh. And that's just the difference between college and the NBA. You know, sometimes you can score it at the collegiate level. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, perfect example. He was someone that put up like 22 a night. Never in his life will he score 22. He's probably scored 22 in the NBA, to be honest with you. But you know what I mean. He's not averaging 22 anytime soon. But Steven Adams has just carved out this role in the NBA as fully, I don't even need to shoot the basketball. Just I'm going to go down low and truly bang. I'm going to bang in the paint. And he goes hard, man. He's nice, literally and figuratively. He seems like a nice guy, a New Zealand guy. But some of the things that I would like to see against this team would be Quentin Post getting some more minutes. He's been stuck in like that 15-minute purgatory, despite playing pretty good basketball, it seems like at times. So I would like to see some more QP out there, stretches the floor a bit. And again, Houston's one of those teams where Steven Adams, not a huge offensive threat. If he can bang down low to the point where he can, you know, when he gets switched on to Şengün or whatever it may be, or some of those perimeter players, Amin Thompson or whatever, when he gets switched out there, can he hold his own and can the help side defense be able to keep him on the floor? But Houston is a team that can attack off the bounce. Shepherd can do it at the point guard position. He can also knock down threes anywhere on the floor, off the dribble, catch and shoot. Reed Shepherd's having a very probably top 5 in most improved player. Also someone that, you know, has a most improved role because he was relegated to the G League last year, despite probably being an NBA player from day one. He's a pesky defender. He's a good help defender. He is positionally and tactically very good. Now, lateral quickness, does have good hands, but lateral quickness, physicality, some of these things, you know, will the Warriors try to target him? Because there's not a lot of other guys that you can target on that side of the ball. Specifically, Amin Thompson. That guy's a Tasmanian devil. We know how good he is defensively, and he can beat you offensively too. I think he just went for 30 or close to it the other night, and even knocked down a 3 in the game, got to the line, knocked down his free throws. But you get the twin towers of Tari Eason and Jabari Smith, who are knocking down threes at a good clip. This is the best three-point shooting team in the NBA. Last time I checked, which was a few days ago, and I'm sure they're still up there. They're knocking down shots, and they're an efficient team, and they're huge again. So this is going to be a tough one, but I do find it interesting that Steve Kerr talked about going bigger, and I look around the league of some of these teams that are big. They're very successful right now. I mean, the Toronto Raptors, you look at them with RJ Barrett. He's a big fella. Scotty Barnes, he's a big fella. Brandon Ingram. They got these big wings, right? And then you look at a team like the Detroit Pistons. They got big Jalen Duren down low. They got Asar Thompson, who's a big wing. They have Cade Cunningham, who's a massive point guard. They have Ron Holland, who's a longer wing. You know, they have some length. These teams have length. And then you look at the Warriors. That's one thing that especially – with Kuminga and Draymond too, not on the floor, they don't have a ton of length because we get the misconception sometimes that the Warriors have always played small ball, and it's never been. I mean, the last couple of years, I guess it's been some small ball with Klay Thompson gone, but you're looking at a big Klay's 6'6" shooting guard, and Klay Iguodala's how big? 6'7", 6'8". I'm sorry I had to. For those of you on YouTube, that's why you subscribe. For those of you on the audio pod, 6'7". Heard someone say it today. I was like, shut up. He was like 8 years old. He's like, sorry, man. Anyways, 6'8". We'll go with 6'8", so I don't have to do it again. Then you got Livingston. Not going to say sizes here, but you know, he is a tall guy, long guy. Durant was 6'11". So you were playing perimeter oriented basketball that allowed you to play this style with nonstop movement and cutting and so many handlers on the floor. But it never really looked like this, where it was Pods, where it was Peyton, where it was like these really small dudes. That's picked up in the last few years. Because even championship years, Warriors, you were able to get away with it to some degree with Jordan Poole, with a little Poole in the gang lineup. But that was Jordan Poole. And this is now. This is a completely different iteration. So I still think that this is, for those of you that want to put all the blame on Steve Kerr or whatever, there's only so much experimenting he can do in terms of being like the best team, one of the best teams in the NBA right now. Like, I think the record is about what it should be based on, how many games they've let slip away, and just the games where good players have sat out and it's been a scheduled loss. And the schedule in general, they've won some big games. And I do feel like some of it is just personnel, and there may be some moves at the deadline to change that personnel, or we're going to find out that this Warriors team clicks when they throw out a lineup of like Trace, Post. Who else is massive on this team? It's going to be Trace, Post, Moody, Will Richard, and Curry. That's going to be the five that they throw out there, and it's just like bang, the entire thing clicks. But as of right now, they're still doing some experimenting. And like I said earlier, Podziemski, who is always slotted in for 30 a night, somewhat in the doghouse right now. So we'll see if that continues. All right, who wants to talk a little Eastern Conference? First of all, appreciate everyone for tuning into the live show. We're going to continue after this to talk a little Eastern Conference, a record going on in Detroit, why they are guaranteed to win the NBA championship per history. Also, the Miami Heat, the fastest pace in 40-something years at this point. Damn, we just saw them the other night, and the Warriors almost beat them with everyone out. That game looks much better. Let's talk about the Warriors. Let's talk about the league. Let's talk about the association. It's coming up on Locked On Dubs.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Now's a great time to get in with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. With basketball season, to me, like a baseball game is kind of, a football game specifically is something that you're planning like a week in advance. There's tailgating. It's not last second tickets, right? But they're available for when you need them on Game Time. But basketball to me is the crown jewel. Baseball too, but basketball specifically, the crown jewel of just 45 minutes before a game being like, you know what? I'm in the Mission, or I'm in San Jose would be a little stretch in 45 minutes. We don't want you driving that fast, but you're in the North Bay, something along those lines. You're in Alameda, whatever. You can get across the bridge. And when you get there, you don't have any plans for tickets, but guess what? There's going to be tickets on Game Time. They're going to be cheaper because you got closer to your event. You can find NBA tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
And buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
Shout out Buddy Hield. He had one of his best games, if not the best game of the season against Utah, scoring 20 points, 8 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3. So NBA Cup game number 4. Lost to Portland, lost to Denver, beat San Antonio. Game number 4. Warriors 1-2 right now in the NBA Cup. They'll take on the Houston Rockets Wednesday at Chase Center. Around the league on Tuesday night, the LA Lakers and the Clippers are still going on as this game is it's in action as this show is live. I will say this, Luka Doncic is on his way to 50. So to our sponsors, DoorDash, we give them the shout out today. Dash Pass, code locked on NBA, I believe, or NBA 50. You may have to go into an old episode, the NBA 50. If that happens, you get your Dash Pass tomorrow. If he scores 50, but the Wizards beat the Hawks and the Magic destroyed the Sixers, but that's not really what I want to get into. I want to get into 2 teams from the East. We don't talk a ton of Eastern Conference on this show. We did in the preview, and I had Miami nowhere near the top 6, to be honest with you. They left a sour taste in my mouth after how it finished last year. It was just ugly in the playoffs. In fact, Spoelstra said that they were outclassed and embarrassed, and they had a real look at yourself in the mirror moment because it's a similar roster. I mean, Norman Powell is a huge addition, but aside from that, it's a pretty similar roster. And they just got Tyler Hero back, and they have Khalil Ware scoring 20 and grabbing 18, who is a player on the rise. Buy the rookie cards, buy the stock right now, Khalil Ware. Jaime Jaquez is nice from UCLA. They got Pele Larson. They got Fontecchio shooting threes. They've got Bam Adebayo, obviously, anchoring it all down low. I mentioned like 4 dudes. They got Jovic, who hasn't played a ton thus far, but he's got some potential. Who is it? Sherrod or just a bunch of different dudes right now on that team. And I'm missing name. I mean, Davion Mitchell is having the best year of his career. So they're loaded all throughout. Mentioned Norman Powell too, and him and Bam combined for 26 of 29 to put away the Warriors. They don't have your traditional superstars, but they do have that head coach that feels like maybe, just maybe, they could be like that Dallas Mavericks team that, won an NBA championship years ago. But that team also had Dirk, Hall of Famer. I don't know if this team has Hall of Famers, but anyways, they got the Hall of Fame coach, and they got a lot of different dudes, tons of depth, and young players that who knows if one of those dudes is a Hall of Famer in the future. But they're playing really good basketball. I mentioned the Raptors. They're 13-5. They're just big. They're big. They run. They're physical. It's a new brand of basketball that does not rely on the three-pointer. They're efficient when they shoot the three, but they don't take many. It's like 27th in the league. Detroit is the team I wanted to get to, though, from the East. I picked them second. We said it was a little ballsy, but I said it's going to be them or the Magic to me. That's that team. And the Magic are 11-8. They're 7th in the East right now. Pistons are the team. They're in first, 15-2. They've won 13 straight games. They won 14 total games 2 years ago in 23-24. 14 total games. Cade Cunningham has dragged that franchise, and give shouts to Duran and Asar and all those guys who helped drag them through the mud of those just awful seasons to the top of the NBA right now. Top of the East. OKC is even better somehow because 15-2 is damn good. It's not even Thanksgiving. They surpassed the 14 wins that they had just 2 years ago. It's the third time in their franchise's history that they've won 13 straight games, rather. The other 2 times, 89 Bad Boy Pistons, 04 bring your lunch pail to work or whatever they called them, Pistons that just got the job done with Ben Wallace and Sheed Wallace and Rip Hamilton and Jason Maxiell, the former Bearcat, and was Chucky Atkins on that team, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups. We can go all day with that. But anyways, they're 15-2 right now. They're a serious contender out of the Eastern Conference. Those are some teams that we like. And then obviously the Cavs and the Knicks are there. The Hawks have been playing pretty well without Trae Young, but they got blasted tonight by the Wizards. And I'll sniff out the fraudulent alert right there. In the West, though, taking a look closer to home, it's the Thunder at 17-1. They are seriously threatening the Warriors record. And I know the Warriors had the same record, I believe, at this point, 18 games in. But, I mean, the Thunder, damn good right now. Damn good. And it seems like a while ago that they were going into double OT every night to start the season because they are a wagon. They are rolling teams right now. Nuggets right behind them at 13-4. The Lakers at 12-4 at the time of this podcast being recorded. Again, they're in action with the Clippers if you wanted to look up that score. Not while you're driving. Thank you for joining us, audio podcasters. Houston Rockets 11-4. That's who the Warriors will play without Kevin Durant on Wednesday. The San Antonio Spurs 11-5. The Suns 11-7. The Wolves 10-7. The Warriors right behind them at 10-9. Blazers 8-10. Grizzlies 6-12. And then it's the Jazz and a bunch of teams that aren't going anywhere. Although I will say, Kawhi Leonard back for the Clippers. They look much better against the Lakers. Now, they're behind the 8 ball. They're already 4 games behind the Warriors, who aren't lighting up the world by any means. But if there's one team in that bottom stanza with the Jazz and the Kings and the Mavericks and the Pelicans that aren't absolute dog crap, it's the Clippers. maybe they start winning some games and playing better, but they're 2-8 in their last 10. And as each day goes on, it's going to be harder and harder for them to get anything better than a 9 or a 10. And that would require some work just to get into the big dance. So anyways, Locked On Warriors, let's get to some of the comments that we have on the show today, pre-recorded or live. Voss H2O, this is live. This is live program today. We have some people who are overjoyous about Pods going to the bench. Come on now. Here's the thing. The Warriors, to be their best, need Brandin Podziemski to be his best. So failing or rooting for his failure does not help anyone here because he's not really tradable. There's no money attached to him. He could be a sweetener in a deal, I guess, but any sort of deal that you think's getting done with like Buddy and Pods, people are, I see them saying, ship out Buddy and Pod, ship them out together. For what? Colin Murray Boyles? No, he's a rookie. They're not giving him up. Who do you want? Abaji? Like, I don't even know who makes that amount of money that a team would be willing to give up. So truly, his frantic energy and his, I guess, winning nature and his IQ and his connectivity, it better be there for this team to take the best step, or Pat Spencer better have a hell of a year off the bench, or more realistically than all those things, DeAnthony Melton just needs to get healthy and stay healthy. And then you don't necessarily have a problem at that position, because I don't think anyone's going to complain if Pods gets 16, 18 minutes a night. It's most of the complaints I see when he gets 35 or something along those lines of that. All right. Anyways, this is Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network out there. Check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball if you enjoy this program. Stick around. You'll be redirected to our Locked On NBA live stream 24/7 page that has content around the league. It's how I try to be so wise, and it's how I can name Colin Murray Boyles and say that he's from South Carolina and plays for the Raptors, because I watch the nonstop Locked On live stream at all times, and you'll be redirected there right about now. But appreciate it. Hit that like on the way out. It's free. Hit that subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Go Dubs.